Stage 1. The Dreamer. You're 17. You live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a house with aluminum siding and a trampoline in the backyard that nobody uses anymore. You have done every school play since 5th grade. You have watched every award ceremony since you were old enough to stay up late. You have a notebook where you write down the names of directors and cinematographers and casting agents. Because you read an interview once where an actor said, you have to understand the whole machine, not just the part you want to inhabit. Your drama teacher tells you that you have something. She has been teaching drama for 22 years, and she uses the word something carefully and rarely. And when she uses it about you, she holds eye contact long enough that you understand she means it. Your parents are not against it exactly. They are for stability in the way that people are for stability when they have spent their lives without enough of it. They suggest college first, a backup plan. You nod. You apply to 3 universities and 1 conservatory in Los Angeles. You get into the conservatory. You take the conservatory. You pack everything you own into 2 bags. You hug your mother at the airport. She holds on longer than usual. You board the plane. Below you, Tulsa gets small and then disappears. And ahead of you is a city that has eaten people exactly like you for 100 years and made a few of them into something permanent. You are aware of this statistic. You have decided it applies to other people. Stage 2. The Student. You're 19. The conservatory is serious in a way you didn't anticipate. Not serious like school. Serious like the people around you have already decided what their life is and are working backward from that decision with total commitment. Your classmates are extraordinary. This is the first time in your life you are not the most talented person in the room, and the adjustment takes longer than you expected. You study Meisner and Stanislavski and Chekhov and the particular physical discipline of a body that has to be an instrument rather than just a container. You perform in studio productions that nobody outside the school sees. You perform badly several times in front of people whose opinion matters to you. You learn that performing badly in front of people whose opinion matters to you is survivable, and that surviving it is itself a form of training. You get a part-time job at a coffee shop on Sunset. You serve actors you recognize from television who treat you with varying degrees of acknowledgement, ranging from genuine warmth to the specific vacancy of someone who has learned to look through service staff. You observe both responses carefully. You file them away. You are always filing things away. The notebook from Tulsa has been replaced by 3 notebooks. You are building something. You can't see its shape yet. You trust that it has one. Stage 3. The Audition. You're 22. You have graduated. You have a headshot that cost $400 and an agent who is technically an agent but operates from a desk in a shared office space in Burbank and whose client list contains nobody you have heard of. This is fine. This is normal. This is the beginning. You audition constantly. You audition for student films and independent shorts and commercial work and co-star roles on network television that are one line and don't require your character to have a name. The audition process teaches you things the conservatory didn't. How to be brilliant in a waiting room full of people who look exactly like you. How to walk into a room and be completely present for the 40 seconds before a casting director looks up from their phone. How to take a note from a director you've never met and apply it instantly in a way that demonstrates not just compliance, but understanding. How to leave the room without knowing if you got it, and to not let the not knowing consume the rest of your day. This last skill takes 2 years to develop. During those 2 years, you are consumed approximately 40% of the time. Your agent submits you for a guest star role on a procedural drama. You go in 3 times, 3 separate callbacks. The 3rd callback is with the showrunner. You do the scene. He nods once. He thanks you. You leave. You get the call 4 days later. One scene, 11 lines. Your first credit. You watch the episode when it airs on a Tuesday night on the couch in your apartment with two friends from the conservatory. When you appear on screen, you say nothing. Your friends say everything. You watch your own face on television, and you feel something that is equal parts arrival and acceleration. You are not there yet. But you are somewhere. Somewhere is everything, after nowhere. Stage 4. The breakthrough. You're 26. The audition is for a supporting role in an independent film. The director is someone whose previous film won at Sundance 3 years ago, and who has a reputation for being difficult and specific and worth every second of both. You read the script 4 times before the audition. You read it a 5th time the night before. The character is not like you. The character is a person who has experienced things you have not experienced, and carries them in a way that requires you to access something that isn't memory, because you don't have the memory. You find another way in. You go to the audition. The director is sitting in the middle of a dark theater with a single light on the stage. He doesn't introduce himself. He just says, "Start." You start. You do the scene. He stops you twice and gives notes that are so specific and so correct that they feel less like direction and more like he already knew the scene was inside you and is simply helping you find the door. At the end, he sits quietly for a moment. Then he says, "Okay." In this industry, okay, from a director of his caliber means yes. The film takes 18 months to make and 6 months to find distribution, and then it premieres at a festival, and something happens that you cannot fully account for. People respond to you specifically. Critics use words you have never had applied to you before. The film sells. It gets a limited release. Your name starts appearing in places your name has not appeared before. Your agent calls from an actual office now. He says the phone is ringing. You say how many times? He says enough. Stage 5. The agent. You're 28. You have a new agent. Not new agent as in junior agent. New agent as in the kind of agent whose name you knew before you knew your own agent's name. The agency is one of 3 that effectively control access to the top tier of the industry. Your new agent is 44, immaculately dressed, and operates with the particular velocity of someone who has spent 20 years turning relationships into leverage and leverage into deals. She calls you every Monday morning at 8 a.m. and tells you what the week looks like. The calls last exactly as long as they need to. She represents 12 other clients at your level and 40 clients above your level, and the skill she is selling on your behalf is not just your talent, but her access, her relationships, her knowledge of which director is looking for, exactly what you are, and which studio has a project that fits your trajectory, and which project would be wrong for you right now, even if the money is right, because the money is never the only variable in a career. And if you let it become the only variable, you will make 3 expensive mistakes in the next 5 years that will take a decade to recover from. She is right about this. You discover this by almost making the first expensive mistake and watching her talk you out of it in a 15-minute call that saves several years of recovery time. You trust her. Trust in this industry is a considered position, not a default one. You have considered it. She has earned it. You proceed together. Stage 6. The movie star. You're 31. The film opens on a Friday in 3,400 theaters and makes $47 million in the first weekend, and the studio calls it a franchise, and your face is on the side of a bus in a city you have never visited, and something has changed in the fundamental texture of moving through the world. You are recognized now. Not sometimes. Consistently. In the coffee shop, and the airport, and the street, and the restaurant where you used to go, because nobody bothered you, and where you can no longer go, because someone posted a photo and now people wait outside. You have a publicist. A real one. Not the shared service your old agent arranged. She manages your public presence with the precision of someone who understands that a public image is infrastructure. It requires maintenance and load-bearing decisions, and the occasional costly repair when something goes wrong. Something goes wrong once. An interview where you say something true that is also unmanageable. The publicist spends 4 days managing it. You spend 4 days watching the thing. You said become a version of the thing you said that is different from what you meant, and learning for the first time that what you meant is not always the variable that matters. You hire a personal trainer. You hire a security consultant. You hire an assistant who manages your schedule with the thoroughness of someone running a small country. Your life has staff now. Your life requires staff. You think about the aluminum siding house in Tulsa occasionally. Not with nostalgia exactly, with the specific awareness of distance, of how far the trajectory has carried you from the beginning. The distance is dizzying if you look at it directly. You have learned to not look at it directly. You have learned to look only at what is directly in front of you, which is always the next thing, the next project, the next decision, the next version of what you are building. You are very good at the next thing. You have always been very good at the next thing. Stage 7. The machine. You're 35. You are now a business, not metaphorically. Actually, you have a production company, a development deal with a studio that pays you a fee annually to develop projects under your banner, most of which will not get made, some of which will, one of which will matter. You have a team, agent, manager, publicist, entertainment lawyer, business manager who oversees the money with the combination of financial expertise and psychological awareness that the money of someone at your level requires. Your name is a commercial asset. It appears on projects, on endorsements calibrated specifically to not compromise the artistic credibility you have spent a decade building. The calibration is constant and deliberate and conducted by your team with your involvement and your final approval. You are the CEO of an enterprise whose primary product is a version of yourself. You make creative decisions, and you make business decisions, and the line between them has become the most important thing you navigate every day. A film that is artistically correct but commercially wrong damages the enterprise. A film that is commercially correct but artistically wrong damages it differently and more permanently. You have learned to find the projects where the two vectors point in the same direction. They exist. They are rarer than either side of the industry admits. When you find one, you move fast. Your team moves fast. This is what the machine is for. Not to manufacture your career. To be ready when the right thing appears. The machine is ready. The right things keep appearing. You keep moving. Stage 8. The reckoning. You're 39. Something happens. Not a scandal in the tabloid sense. Something quieter and more significant. You finish a film, a large film, a film that required 14 months of your life, and that the studio is positioning as an awards contender, and you watch the finished cut in a screening room, and you feel nothing. Not dissatisfaction. Nothing. You sit in the dark after the credits, and you try to locate the feeling that used to live in this moment, and it is not there. You call your therapist that night. You have been seeing her for 6 years, and she knows the map of you better than anyone. She asks when you last did something, because you wanted to, rather than because it was the right move. You try to remember. You cannot remember clearly. She says, that is the answer. You spend 3 months doing something unusual by the standards of your current life. You say no. You say no to the sequel discussion and the franchise conversation and the 3 scripts your agent sends that are commercially perfect and creatively adequate. You say no, and you sit with the no, and you let the machine idle for the first time in a decade. In the quiet, you find something. A script that nobody wants to make because it is strange and small and has no obvious commercial logic. You want to make it. You put your own money in. You hire a director whose previous work you love. You make it the way you wanted to make things when you were 22 in Burbank auditioning for one-line co-star roles, and the only variable was whether the work was good. It is good. It is the best thing you have been part of in 5 years. The machine comes back online. It runs differently now. You have adjusted something at the center. The adjustment holds. Stage 9. The icon. You're 52. You have made 34 films. 11 of them are the kind that last. The kind that people watch 15 years after release and find that they still work. This is the rarest outcome in the industry, and you know it, and you hold it carefully without letting the holding become something that stops you from risking the next thing. You receive a Lifetime Achievement Award at a ceremony you have attended 30 times from the other side of the room. The tribute reel is 4 minutes long. You watch it on a screen from a seat in the front row, and you see your face across 30 years, and you see the work across 30 years, and you feel the accumulated weight of it in a way that is physical. The person who gives the introduction is someone whose career you helped 30 years ago. A piece of advice at the right moment, a phone call to a director, the small invisible work that successful people do for the next generation that never appears in any record. She says this in her remarks. She says you were the first person who told her she was going to make it. You don't remember saying it? You believe you said it? It sounds like something you would have said. The award is heavy. You hold it at the podium, and you look at the room, and you think about the conservatory and the auditions, and the coffee shop on Sunset, and the casting director who looked through you like furniture, and the director who sat in the dark theater and said, okay, and everything that the okay opened. You say something true. You always say something true when it matters. The room listens. The room has always listened when you had something true to say. That is the whole job distilled to its essential form. Say something true. Find the room that needs to hear it. Everything else is logistics. Stage 10. The legacy. There is a kid in Tulsa right now, 17 years old, aluminum siding house, trampoline nobody uses, a drama teacher who has said something carefully, a notebook full of names, a plane ticket that doesn't exist yet but will. The industry that kid is flying toward has eaten people for 100 years. It will eat people for 100 more. It will take the ones who came for the wrong reasons, the ones who confused the wanting with the having, the ones who let the machine replace the person instead of serving them, the ones who forgot that the work is the point and that everything surrounding the work is scaffolding and that scaffolding is necessary, but it is not the building, the ones who make it, who last, who build something that outlives the moment. They all have the same quality when you trace it back. Not talent. Talent is common. Not ambition. Ambition is universal. Something else. The capacity to stay connected to the reason they started, even as everything around the reason becomes unrecognizable. To find the truth in a scene on the 40th, take the same way they found it on the first. To walk onto a set on a Tuesday in year 20 with the same quality of attention they brought to 11 lines on a procedural in year 3. This capacity is not glamorous. It does not photograph well. It will not appear in the tribute reel. It is simply the thing that makes everything else possible, and the thing that everything else tries to erode. The ones who protect it make things that last. The ones who don't make things that the algorithm promotes and the audience forgets. The kid in Tulsa is packing the bags. The notebook is full. The plane is coming. The city is waiting. The city is always waiting. It has no preference for how the story ends. That part is up to the kid,